Amorim is not for changing, as he said to Gary before the game, and Gary rejoins us now. What did you make of that interview, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, he was pushed hard there, wasn't he? And absolutely resolute that he won't change, but he must be suffering deep inside. I'm worried as well. I mean, it is really grim. That first half an hour tonight was hard to watch as a United fan. I think that the thing is, I think we knew a lot of what we actually saw on the pitch was going to happen. I mean, Casemiro and Eriksen in midfield. Jamie Carragher had done a piece in the studio about Mazraoui and Dalot playing wing backs and being more defensive, and that wouldn't lead to goals, which is exactly what happened. I asked Ruben Amorim before the game, at the idea of Xerxes in that sort of left pocket, that's not a left pocket that you stay in. That's a left pocket that means that you have to go and pick up the right back for Newcastle when he goes forward. That's a left pocket that means you have to make runs through. So it's not really, and when he said that he wasn't really a number 9 and that's where he saw him playing, I was surprised. I didn't see any balance in the team selection. So I think that whilst I was a little nervous about Manchester United doing well in this game tonight, before I saw the team sheet, once I saw the team sheet, I was pretty sure that it would be a struggle, and I think a lot of what we saw, we expected. It was a grim night.
Do you think Eriksen and Casemiro can start together in midfield again, Gary?
No. I mean, look, they may have to if there's lots of injuries, but look, we've all been there. You know, we've all been there as football players where you get into your 30s and the last thing you want in your 30s is another player alongside you in your 30s. You know, if I was right back playing for Manchester United at the age of 33, I didn't want a 33-year-old right-sided winger in front of me. I wanted someone who was massively energetic, youthful, quick, to compensate for the things that I don't have anymore. And the last thing that Eriksen wants to see alongside him is someone that's basically got a lack of energy. He wants to see someone who can compensate for the things that he doesn't have, and vice versa with Casemiro. It's not that they're not being great players. It's not that they still can't function in a team in some way. There are players that play for other clubs at the very top who haven't got legs, but they've got people around them who can basically cover for the fact they haven't got legs. They can't play them both together as a two in midfield with those massive gaps that exist. And Old Trafford always feels very big to cover the ground anyway.
Gary, we've been very critical of Manchester United in probably the last 18 months under Erik ten Hag and how open they were and conceding sort of 20, 30 shots a game. Are Manchester United actually worse right now under Ruben Amorim with the 3-4-3 system?
I mean, there's no doubt it's deteriorated performances and results in this last few weeks. They're finding it very difficult, some of the players, with the system. They're finding it very difficult with the confidence. And the concern is that they're getting dragged into a fight down there near the bottom. But they are at this moment in time. You keep thinking they're going to hit a low point. I mean, I sent through that team this morning of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last game in charge. And you think that, you know, they're playing against Watford a few years ago, and you're thinking that Manchester United team, to be fair, is not good enough. We all accepted at the time it wasn't good enough. But that was David De Gea in net, who's a better goalkeeper than the one that Manchester United have currently got. It was Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, which is a better defensive line than the one that Manchester United have currently got. It was Matic and McTominay in midfield, which is not brilliant, but it's better than Casemiro and Eriksen. And it was Sancho, Rashford, Bruno and Ronaldo up front, which is a better forward line than the one that's currently there. So that's the concerning thing. When you feel that you've got to a point whereby the team can't get any worse, and then you get further investment into the sort of the tune of 450, 500 million, and you see that this current team that's played today and at Wolves, I think that they've got a lot to do, and that is being very, very kind, because I don't think this group of players that are playing at this moment in time are of the quality that the ones that Ten Hag has had, Ole's had, Jose Mourinho's had, or Louis van Gaal. They weren't good enough for Manchester United in those periods, but they were better teams and better squads than the one that currently is in this club.
Well, Gary, the criticism of Manchester United from yourself, as you know Manchester United better than any of us, was that those managers did not have people above them, a sporting director, a structure in the club. We've now had that at Manchester United probably the last 12 months, and it's actually gone worse. I mean, how do you explain that?
Yeah, I don't think it's been for 12 months. I mean, there's no doubt the Dan Ashworth situation has gone badly wrong. I mean, I like Dan a lot. He's brought in, he's someone who's very stable, very calm, has actually, to be fair, helped mould this current sort of Newcastle project that we're seeing before. How was there before, but the type of signings that they made when the Saudi Arabian owners came in. We all expected it to be a bit of an extravaganza and sort of splashing the cash, but they've signed some very solid characters. So I was quite enthused when Dan Ashworth came into the club that there would be someone there to say no, that would know not to waste money. Obviously, then you have Jason Wilcox, who's highly thought of, Omar Barada, who was well thought of at Manchester City. They've only been in, to be fair to them, 5 or 6 months. Obviously, Dan Ashworth's now gone, which is, like I say, that's gone badly wrong. But it's only been 5 or 6 months, and it's obviously, I mean, they'll be thinking it's going backwards to go forwards. They're obviously making huge changes on the pitch. They're making huge changes in the football department. They're making huge changes off the pitch as well. And there is some real pain, and there are some real unpopular decisions that are being made, some of which I don't agree with myself at all. But the reality of it is, decisions are being made. I mean, for about 8 years, there was nothing happening. There was one guy there at the top that was, to be fair, being sort of supported by the Glazer family, and he just continued to make the same mistake after mistake. At least there are things happening, whether you agree with them or not. But there are... I mean, it's concerning. It can be nothing other than concerning at what's happening at this moment in time, because what's happening on the pitch is really desperate. I mean, that first half an hour tonight, I mean, I know there's been some bad moments in the last 10 years, but that was pretty low.
But Gary, given what happened to Dan Ashworth, who you just referenced, who we thought was going to be there for a long time, and then this sort of snap decision seemed to come out of nowhere, and suddenly he was gone. Is there any doubt in your mind that if it did get worse here for Ruben Amorim, and, he's talking about it himself, they're in a relegation battle, in his words, if it did get worse, do you think they would stick with him whatever happened this season?
I mean, whatever happened, I mean, probably not. But I mean, they're going to support him, aren't they? I mean, their mindset is such now that they're going to dig in, support the manager, get him through maybe a transfer window in January. I'm not sure there's that much money to spend in January because they're on the edge of FFP. But then obviously get to the summer, and there's going to have to be a huge overhaul again. And like you say, I mean, look, I'll throw it back to yourselves. I mean, Carol, where did you have Manchester United? I had them in the top 4, obviously.
We're going to get to that in about 10 minutes.
Gary, can I just ask you, talk about a January window. If there was a little bit of money they could find, where would you be spending it right now? What is going to help this team in the short term?
Definitely the positions that, I mean, look, you could say centre forward, let's get a world-class centre forward, let's get Isak in, but that's never going to happen. I think if you were starting, you'd have to start with the fundamentals of this system, which is the wing-backs. They hold it together. If you don't have the wing-backs functioning up and down that are able to attack and defend equally as good, and there aren't many of those around, by the way, because there aren't many teams that play wing-back, then you're going to struggle. So you need 2 quite unique players in those wide areas, and I think that will be the starting point. And that's nothing against Mazraoui or Dalot. I think they're very willing and doing the job the very best that they can. But they're, to me, the areas that I would start in this system.
Gary, stay where you are, because we are very excited to see where you've got Manchester United at the end
Sorry,
of this
can
season.
I finish, Dave? Sorry, let me finish. Where did Carragher have Manchester United at the start of the season in his predictions? Was it 5th?
I think...
Well, it definitely wasn't above Liverpool.
Listen, we'll tease that, Gary. We'll tease it, Gary.
You had them 5th, so not even you expected them to be this bad.
Just keep talking.